you left Ivy, like I know you're looking for a job, but then looks like you decided to jump into the couch flipping thing.
Yeah, more or less. I felt like I was probably as young as I was going to be, like at that time, to just give it a shot. And like I felt like, I already had a leg up from Ivy, knew a bit about it, and yeah, just kind of went for it and saw what happened.
It's cool, and you've grown quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely it's been a journey, but yeah, it's pretty good these days.
That's cool. So like you guys just started flipping, and like from there you moved into like a warehouse. Like tell me a little bit about the journey.
Yeah. So yeah, I think pretty traditional route, like started off with used stuff off Facebook, flipping it. And then yeah, pretty quickly grew out of that, started doing the Costco B-stock stuff. And that was super good. Another step up. And then we've kind of, transitioned into even more new stuff now.
What would you describe your mix of inventory like today? Like 50% Costco, 50% new? Are you still doing used?
Yeah, I would say like 50% Costco, 50% brand new at the current time.
Well, and yeah, no, I mean, that's the prototypical bootstrap into real business couch flipper journey. So
yeah.
And I think I saw it's like you, your girlfriend, still girlfriend, fiance,
wife now actually.
Oh goddamn!
Yeah, yeah, and then one of my best friends as well. So the three of us are owners, and then have a couple employees as well now.
Wow. Okay, cool. And a 4,000 square foot warehouse showroom.
Yeah, which we're honestly like it's been too small for a little while. So hopefully stepping up into something bigger in the future.
Well, what are you thinking? Like 8,000, 10,000?
Yeah, anything around there I think would be ideal for us.
Right, cool. And you're doing 60 to 100 sales a month.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
And do you still like post on Marketplace to find customers, or do you like get most of your customers through advertising or something like that?
Yeah, we do also post on Marketplace, and what we've kind of found is that the used stuff or like the Costco B-stock stuff is, does great on Marketplace. Just it's an obvious great deal for people. The new stuff, we do post it, but the new stuff isn't great on Marketplace. So we've started recently with, Facebook ads, our local SEO, and, Google Business Profile and website do get, bring in a bit of new sales as well. But yeah, the new stuff doesn't do great on Marketplace.
Right. So like with the new stuff, most of that business comes in through your own channels like SEO, advertising, and then the B stock you're still posting on Marketplace. And like I imagine some people come in through Marketplace, they walk into the showroom, maybe like sell them a new couch instead. So it kind of like works both ways.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, cool. And it's really interesting to talk to you after almost, I think, 2 years. What got you interested in sparking up the conversation now?
Primarily, I saw that. So I'd say like the biggest thing I don't like about our business at the current moment is the Costco B-stock stuff. It's just time consuming, like very labor intensive for us. And if, I saw Ivy has these connections with some more exclusive brands. And if that stuff could still offer the same, like we can price it super discounted since it's not technically brand new, and hope to kind of capture that same audience, but without all the time and effort that goes into the B stock and, cleaning and all that stuff that at this point is just kind of inefficient for us.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, so we deal with returns and liquidations now. So the big difference for Ivy in the past 2 years has been we've transformed from just being technology that helps flippers, whether it's like sourcing on Marketplace or posting on Marketplace, to connecting them with inventory that is direct from retailers. So one ceiling that we saw with the flipping business model is just like after you get to like 30 flips a month, there's not a whole lot of room to improve. And that means that if you want to grow your business, you need access to, you need better inventory at scale. And then Costco B-stock, that's one route. I think that's also become a little bit more saturated nowadays. And so, it's an auction, and then those auctions are getting more competitive, but that does depend on like the metro that you're in. And if you think about it, like it's really just one brand on B-stock that you can buy that are just going to be couch exclusive type loads, whereas there's an entire market of furniture retailers and furniture products that also have needs for management in this stage of the life cycle when it gets to the point of being a return or to the point of being overstocked that needs to be cleared out. And so that's kind of the opportunity that we saw. And so, yes, like our main focus at Ivy, like as of today, well, not as of today, but like now and moving forward, is building relationships with furniture retailers and making these overstock opportunities accessible to our network of resellers. And so, we make a considerable chunk of our revenue in that, percentage is growing daily in terms of our focus as a business, just from the brokering of the inventory opportunities. Yeah, I think there's a pro and a con to working with returns and liquidations. The pro is you're getting brand name stuff. So people know like Thomasville, Tisdale, they know Interior Define, they know, these other brands. And so you have that brand recognition, and then it's easier. It gives your customer a price anchor. So if you're selling a Thomasville Tisdale, it's like you could go to Costco and you could buy it new from Costco, but it's going to cost you $3,000. Or you can come to me, maybe you can get that same couch cleaned up and it's going to be $800. So that brand equity transfers over into your business. And that's one of the major advantages of selling liquidations versus wholesale new, is you get more of that cachet of the brand. The downside is, especially with the Costco stuff, you're buying trailers essentially as is. The quality is going to be up and down. Some stuff's not going to be sellable. And then obviously the preparation that goes into, getting those products ready for sale and onto the showroom floor. It's a little bit more efficient than flipping because you're not like driving to someone's house 1 hour, picking it up, cleaning, and then you get it all at once. But it's still a considerable amount of work. Now, the downside with the returns and liquidations is you can't rely on it in the same way that you can rely on a wholesale new relationship. Like once you establish a relationship with like Ashley or one of these other manufacturers, and you place an order and that order does well, there's more where that came from. Whereas with like the returns and liquidations, it's like it's based on what's available, what the retailers are trying to get rid of at that point in time. And I think with, Costco specifically, the con is like, yeah, you're going to have to still spend a considerable amount of time and energy to clean and prepare the items. Whereas like a lot of the returns and liquidations that we're getting currently, you don't have to do that. Like our loads are manifested and they come with assurances. So if something comes to you in an unsellable condition, you'll get a credit back for that item. And then a lot of the times the products that we're getting are new in box as well.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of what piqued my interest, is if we could, keep that same idea that a lot of people like. It's just like without all the time and effort spent that, is typically the way things go with the Costco stuff.
So, yeah, I have a couple different types of liquidation opportunities that you may be interested in. How to describe it? So the first is, I would say about 10-15% of the inventory we have access to are going to be like all upholstered loads. So these are like truckloads full of product that are full of things that you can sit on, right? Armchairs, sofas, sectionals, love seats, etc. But that's a small percentage of the items that we get and have access to. It's like 10-15%. And the reality is that like the furniture market in the United States is not just focused on sofas and sectionals. This business model is kind of an offshoot of like the community and, how couch flippers stepped into building their furniture businesses, but it's not a reflection of like what the market looks like in the aggregate. So that's one limitation. And what ends up happening, because our audience is so focused on sofas and sectionals, is that when I do have loads that are just upholstered products, it moves immediately. So, we have some retailers, once again, their bread and butter, sofas and sectionals. And then, they put together a trailer full of products that are all sofas and sectionals. And then I shoot it out to our Ivy industry list, which is like, a couple dozen businesses across the United States. And those trailers tend to get picked off immediately. So those are, that's the reality of like the product mix that we have today, is like the 10-15% of stuff that is going to be comparable to like a sofa only trailer from B-stock. Those are in high demand because just of the nature of our audience, not because of like, it's not a reflection of like demand for furniture in the market generally. And so there's a bit of an asymmetric skew. And then, so what ends up happening is those 10-15% of loads move very quickly. And then the 85% of stuff that I get my hands on tends to sit a little bit more. I think this will get solved. This asymmetry will start like unwinding itself as couch flippers transition into more like couch store operations, and then eventually into furniture store, like a proper furniture store with more of an eclectic mix, let's say curated mix of furniture. I think, sofa sectionals will still be most people's bread and butter, but I don't think it should represent 90 to 100% of the inventory you have available. Maybe it's more in the realm of like 50 to 70% of the inventory you have. And then you'll have some like other items that are like dining tables, dining room sets, bedroom sets, rugs, for example. And so if you're looking for more of a diversity in products, there's going to be a stronger fit for us today. Just because like that, we have lots of that stuff available, and because like it is in less demand, I have actually superior pricing on those items as well. And so that's one way in which I would describe the liquidation opportunities that we have is like the 10-15% upholstered loads. We have them. They move quickly. The prices are competitive, let's say in the 20 to 30% of MSRP range. But they tend to be very good condition, quality brands. And the reason they move quickly is because people have bought them, they do well with them, they come back for more. The other opportunity we're working on is closeouts with like closeout lists from the retailers that we work with. And so in this case, what they're doing is they'll send us a catalog of all of the overstock that they have available. And that catalog might have a couple $1 million worth of inventory in it. And as long as you hit the minimum order requirement, you can mix and match what you want from that catalog to create a load. And so the difference between the catalog versus the trailer is that the trailer comes pre-configured. So you can't really pick what you're getting in the trailer. It's just like whatever's on the trailer is on the trailer. But with the catalog option, we'll send you a catalog, right? It'll have a couple $1 million of inventory on it. And then you can pick what you want out of that catalog to put together a truckload. For example, one of the retailers we work with is called Mo's Home Collection, and they're actually a wholesale manufacturer. So most of the time they're working with like trade relationships. And so they're a manufacturer where you'd buy like a wholesale new truckload. But on top of that, they also have overstock. And so we're able to get you their wholesale, we're able to sell you a trailer full of their product. And instead of paying 100% of wholesale, which is 50% of retail, let's say it's like 40% of retail is their wholesale pricing, we get you 40% of wholesale. Does that make sense? So let's say it's let's say retail is 1,000, then the wholesale price is 500, and then your IV price would be $250, something like that. And so that can be an attractive option. And then, so we have Mo's Home Collection currently. And I also have a couple other retailers that I'm working through getting their catalogs prepped for distribution to our network as well. For example, Modus Home and Armin Living are some of the retailers where we're getting catalogs full of product. And I think the sticking point on that really just comes out to shipping. So I'm not sure where you're currently sourcing your products from, but a lot of the catalog opportunities we have tend to be on the West Coast. So there's going to be freight to get it from the West Coast to you. If I had to guess, it's going to be in the range of like $4,000, $5,000 to ship from the West Coast down to Michigan.
Okay.
But for a 52-foot trailer of product, and you're getting at 40% of wholesale pricing, you can kind of do the math. And what my recommendation to people is like, parse through the catalog, put together your order, figure out what your cost of goods are going to be on that order, and then in an Excel sheet where you're putting together that order, have a separate column where you do your projections, which is like based on this inventory and its condition, how much do you think you can sell it for? And then, you run your numbers and, you figure out if there's enough margin for you after the cost of freight. And then the good news about the catalogs is that it is a little bit more consistent than these liquidation trailers, right? And that like the catalogs tend to be broad and they always have like some level of overstock that they're trying to liquidate. And so you could pretty consistently put in an order. It's not going to be as consistent or reliable as if you were just ordering wholesale, because once again, you're getting a discount from wholesale. It's still liquidation overstock. But just the nature of like how these inventory opportunities get just based on their availability, they tend to be more available than just like liquidation trailers. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's another category I would sort of put out there, is this sort of catalog approach, and you're getting it at a discount of wholesale. And then the final opportunity we have are consignment trailers. So the way this works is we have a couple partners, and I would say maybe not. This probably doesn't make sense for you today because you're short on space. But if you were to move into a bigger location and you just want to have more inventory available, this could be an option if you don't want to put the capital up. Basically, we front you the products. So you pay nothing up front for the trailer. You don't pay shipping either. We're basically consigning the items over to you. And then, you sift through it. Once again, some stuff is not going to be sellable. These trailers come to you in as is condition. They're typically returns. And so let's say like 15% of those items will not be sellable. You just receive them. You take an assessment of what's good, what's not. The stuff that is not good, you're not on the hook for. And then the stuff that is good, you put on your showroom floor, you put on Facebook Marketplace, you list it for sale. And then as you're selling through those items, we split the revenues that are generated. And the split is 40-60. So you take home 40%, and then the retailer takes 60, and then we earn our commission on the 60.
Gotcha.
Yeah. With the consignment trailers, we're going live with that this month. We have our first consignment trailer landing with an IB industry partner tomorrow, actually. So, and we have maybe 10 more that are going to be available throughout this month. So we're just kind of getting the consignment program started. And there are pros and cons to consignment as well. So the pros are you pay nothing up front. So there are very few things in business where you can just have access to inventory and the ability to monetize without taking risk. And you have very limited risk when it comes to consignment, in that you're not paying for the inventory. If you can't sell the inventory, then you're not on the hook for it either. However, and the other pro is, let's say you're trying to dabble in other kinds of furniture, like you're curious to see how like tables would do. You're curious to see how bedroom sets will do, but you don't want to put out the cash to go get those things. Well, we could consign it over to you and you can try it out. And so that way you can kind of learn on our dime and see if like these other types of furniture will be a fit for your business model. This is part of our overall strategy to try and nudge flippers, like couch flippers, into more overall furniture model. And that like, hey, we can give you this stuff and you're not paying for it up front. You can kind of see how it works on your showroom floor. The cons are margins, right? If we're consigning the item to you and you're not paying for the product, you're not paying for the shipping. Let's say you do well with it, in that scenario, like you're not going to get as much of the upside as if you had bought that trailer outright. And then, one thing we want to do with the consignment model is a sort of consign to buy relationship. So maybe we consign you a couple trailers at first. You get a feel for how that product mix works on your showroom floor. And then if it's doing well and you want to do repeat trailers with us, you have the option to start buying them outright instead. And after doing some math on these, we think you can make up to 50% more margin by buying the trailers outright, assuming that, these products are good and you can sell them.
Gotcha.
So this is how I would characterize the wholesale liquidation opportunities we have. We also have a returns program, but if you're trying to do something that is less labor intensive and more scalable, the returns may not be as good of a fit, because the way the returns work is when a retailer has a customer that wants to return a couch, let's say, you would go to that customer's house and you'd pick up the couch directly in that customer's home. Now it is more time efficient than flipping on Facebook Marketplace, like finding deals on Facebook Marketplace, because you don't have to look for the deals. And typically the items are in like new condition. So there are returns within like a 30-day return window. And so, oftentimes they're still new in box. So you can just pick it up and, take it out of the box, stage it, take some photos, it's ready to go. But you're still going to have the lift of going to that customer's home and picking it up and bringing it back. And that's like for every item. And, a return request may have like 5 items. It just depends on like the customer and what they're trying to return. That is a program that we have. It's, frankly, the thing that I've been focused on in the short term to scale up. And we're receiving about $500,000 worth of product every month right now, just in terms of returns. But yeah, there's this, it's not coming to you in a truck. You have to go pick it up from the customer. So yeah, that's basically, what we have going on in the space of returns and liquidations. I'm just, put a lot out there. I'm trying to give you a balanced perspective. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. Furniture in the US is a $100 billion market. Products get returned about 10% of the time. There's about $10 billion worth of furniture returns in the United States. And, overstock liquidations is like an entire other category of furniture. So in effect, there are billions of dollars worth of like returns and liquidations in the US that you could potentially be buying. That is not very well understood by the market. Like, how do you buy these items? How do you get access to this inventory? How do you make money on it? We're trying to make that more transparent. And we've made a pretty good dent on the issue in the past year since we started working in the returns and liquidation space. We've moved several $1 million worth of product through our network. But it's still very early days, is what I'd say. And so the opportunities that we have today versus like what we'll have in a year from now are also probably very different. Like, I think, my hope is that in the next year, we're able to 3 to 4x the amount of inventory that we have access to and can make available to our network as well. So yeah, trying to give you a balanced perspective. This is where we're at today. This is what we have available. We are just getting started. And as time continues, like, those opportunities will only continue to scale and grow as well.
Gotcha.
So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think I think I'm still personally interested, and I'm more so just like curious about it. Because I think, a lot of the good things that we've done and like steps that we've made in our business have just come from a place of like seeing what else is out there and just, being curious and exploring other options. And we definitely have never done like a ton of it, but we have, just kind of by default through B-stock, we've sold, a good amount of dining sets. We've sold a good amount of bed sets, like miscellaneous furniture besides just couches and sectionals.
Okay, cool. I'm curious, like, have you been following along like the podcast at all? Stuff like that?
Yeah, here and there. I've watched some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like funny how like people go through the same journey.
Yeah.
Well, everyone starts in their garage or in like a storage unit, but the path, if you want to grow and get to that next level and level up, like is pretty consistent. And so it's like very interesting to see flippers, all different shapes and sizes, different markets, sort of arrive upon a very similar business model. And like that path being similar too. And a part of the value that I think we're creating is as we get product in the hands of like one flipper in Seattle and then another flipper in Florida, we can kind of look at what's working and what's not. And we start unraveling what the strategy is for moving these products. And then as we get that information, we try to roll it back out to the network. It's like, okay, here's what we've learned, and here's how you can take this inventory and be successful with it. And it's great that you have an open mind towards it because, if we start working together in like the capacity of us supplying you, like as you are learning, we'll try and share that with our network and vice versa, right? As other people are learning as well and they're doing well with product, we'll take that information right back to you. So if you have an open mind, you're curious, you want to explore, this could be a good fit. And I think it's just a question of like, how do we get started then?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I think we're like happy to just, see if it's something that makes sense for us and like at least give it a shot. And, worst case scenario, it's not like what we're looking for. I don't think it really makes sense, but, I wouldn't want to, say that before just kind of exploring and at least just seeing if it was something that could be good.
Yeah. So let me ask you, first is how much capital do you have available to like deploy on like a liquidation load?
Quite a bit, honestly. Like we're pretty used to spending, the average B-stock load is probably like $7,000 to $10,000, and we are used to doing that like 4 or 5 times a month. So yeah, I mean, kind of funny. We're used to spending regardless.
Got it. So the limitation is going to be more space.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing I would say too, and that is like the B-stock stuff, part of why it's great is just because it turns over so fast. So it's like, we turn over most of a B-stock shipment like within a week. Like it's there and gone within a week.
Wow. Okay. What is your gross margin on that roughly? Do you know?
Hovers right around 50%.
Is that gross margin or net margin?
Gross margin.
Gross margin. Okay. So once you factor in like labor, employees, and maybe it's like closer to 25, 30%.
Yeah, give or take, I would say. B-stock pretty consistently, we're like right around where we double our money. Like, if we spend this amount, like we double that in terms of what, it all will sell for.
Oh, so I mean, that would mean your gross margin is 100% now. So if you put 7,000 below, it's all good.
Yes.
Okay, got it. And then what is your gross margin on like the new wholesale?
It's product dependent, but I would say like it averages out to probably 50-60% on most stuff.
Yeah, that's about average for the new wholesale. Okay, cool. So I think the best next step for us, Josh, is as I get configured trailers available, I'll float them over to you. Are you still here? It's like stuttering a little bit. Yeah. So as I get configured loads available, I'll float them over to you. I'll add you to our email distribution list. Now to get like first pick on deals, you do have to join IV Industry. It's a $2.99 a month subscription. So you're going to get the stuff that, is passed on by the industry partners, but at least you'll kind of be in the flow of deals as well. So you can kind of see what's coming through. And I can also send you like the stuff that doesn't make it through, just so you have an awareness of those products in case maybe you do want to upgrade to the subscription and have priority access. And so that way, once again, you just know what's coming through. And then, there's no obligation for you to pull the trigger or anything, but now you have the awareness and you can make an educated decision about how this fits into your overall business plans. And then with the catalog stuff, this is probably where we're going to have more of a fit, just because we have very large lists of inventory that you're going to be able to pick through and basically create your own trailer. The pricing is very competitive as well. It's not as good as the configured loads, like the stuff that's already put together in a trailer, but it is still pretty good, right? Like we can get you half of wholesale, 40% of wholesale. And so I think this is where we're going to have more availability and more stuff that's actually going to make it through to you, where you can kind of pick through it and put together a trailer and see what fits your needs. Like I said, I just released a list of Mo's Home product. It's like a couple $1 million worth of inventory. The only problem with that is it is located in Seattle, and so we're going to have to account for the cost of freight. I would guess it's going to be around $4 or $5,000 to ship it to you. Typically, what are you paying in terms of freight to get stuff from B-stock? And like, where is that stuff getting shipped to you from? I'm guessing it's like more of a local DC.
Yeah, I would say B-stock averages out to like $2,000 to $3,000 shipping per load, and that's mainly from like Pennsylvania. Mainly from Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool. I mean, if you're already paying $2,000 to $3,000 on freight and able to make decent margins on the B-stock stuff, then the catalog stuff that we have is going to be competitive for you. Okay. Yeah, and the catalog stuff, it's new in box.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, that's probably where we're going to have the most opportunity to land with something in the near term.
Okay,
cool. So let me shoot over the Mo's. And then I'm doing some work internally to get some of the other catalog opportunities ready. I think I'll have those ready by the end of the week, maybe a little bit sooner. And then I can float those over to you as well. You can kind of sift through, see if anything makes sense. And then, we can kind of continue the conversation from there.
Okay. Yeah, no, that all sounds good.
Yeah. But, overall, it's really good to see you. I'm happy that you figured something out. It's really cool like what you've done.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's good to see you too, and everything's still going well.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Josh. So we'll be in touch. I'll shoot you some emails and we can continue the conversation that way.
All right. Sounds good. Good to see you.
Great. Thanks. Bye.